Scrambled Wisdom Series Echo Chamber. When the Synth Dust Settles. A futuristic Western thriller passage. Anchor phrase, The Dust Don't Lie by Reuben White. Out here on the Obsidian Flats, where the Terrascan drones circle like chrome vultures and the neon-lit mesas bleed their amber glow into a sky too tired to turn blue, the dust don't lie. It just sits there, synth granules and ghost mineral, settled over the bones of a world that tried to outrun its own shadow and lost. Every solar boot that presses into it leaves a print the wind can't erase. Every plasma ion drawn in haste leaves a scorch ring in the alkali crust that tells the whole story: who was afraid, where they stood, when they hesitated. A man can wipe his chrome spurs clean, repaint his hoverig, swap out his data brand, but he cannot unsay what his weight has already whispered to the ground beneath him. Guilt is like synth dust on still air, it does not fall where it is thrown. It drifts where the truth already is. Marshal Cora Delacroix had ridden the quantum rail from the copper basin before first solar light cracked the holo horizon, her ion-lasso coiled at her hip like a patient sermon, her circuit brand ID glowing faint amber under her duster, the color of something unfinished. She didn't need her retinal scope to read the scene. She'd been reading scenes like this since before they upgraded the sky. 3 bodies. 2 were bit riders. Drifters, the kind the outer settlements chew up and spit out like spent fusion cells. The 3rd wore the sky brand of the Vela Commission, and that changed everything. That changed the mathematics of the whole equation. She crouched low, glove hands hovering over the scorch ring like a healer over a wound, her breath held the way you hold a secret, carefully, and not for long. Her deputy, young Ezra Voss, chrome-spurred and green as prairie moss, shifted behind her and said what young men always say when they want to seem useful: could have been anyone, Marshal. Trail's cold. Windscrub took most of it. She didn't look up. She said it quiet as a data pulse through an old copper line: son, the wind can borrow the truth. It cannot keep it. Transformed. Middle. By high solar, she had followed the scatter pattern 14 clicks north, past the ghost ranch ruins where the old cattle bots rusted in formation like a prayer that forgot its god. The canyon walls rose on both sides, black obsidian laced with fiber vein copper, glittering cold. And there, where the canyon narrowed to the width of a bad decision, the synth dust had been disturbed in a pattern no wind ever made. Heavy boot heel, left side dragging. Someone carrying something they didn't want anyone to know they were carrying. Someone afraid, but not afraid enough to run, which was the most dangerous kind of afraid there was. Fear-wearing patience is not wisdom, it is a predator that has already chosen its moment. She stopped. Raised one fist, the old signal, older than the upgrades, older than the quantum rail, older than the commission itself. Ezra stopped behind her and for once didn't speak. Even the drones above them seemed to understand the grammar of that silence. Because the dust don't lie, and the dust was saying something right now, something urgent and architectural, the way a scar on skin says far more than the story someone tells about how they got it. The pattern in the alkali said, 2 people met here and only one left walking. It said, power changes hands the way seasons do, not gradually, but all at once, and without asking permission. She swept her retinal scope left, then right, slow as a man reading scripture he already knows by heart. In the shadow crease of the canyon's west wall, something caught the amber, a glint too deliberate to be mineral, too still to be alive. A plasma ion, handle up, buried to its sight line in the synth crust. Abandoned the way men abandon things they're ashamed of, quickly, and not quite far enough away. A discarded weapon is a confession. The canyon already knows who pulled it. The question is only whether justice will arrive before the story rewrites itself. She marked the coordinates. Did not touch it. Let it sit in its own testimony. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a marshal does is nothing, just bear witness the way the sky bears witness, vast and without agenda, letting gravity do the talking it was always going to do. Resolved. Close. 3 days later, in the settlement court of New Laredo Station. Hololamps throwing their cold blue light across faces that wanted desperately to look innocent, Commissioner Elias Thorne sat across the iron oak table like a man who had rehearsed composure for so long he had forgotten it was a performance. His lawyers were sharp. His alibi was layered. His story had the kind of smooth finish that only comes when someone has sanded it too many times. Marshal Delacroix set the evidence glass on the table. Inside it, suspended in amber archive gel, was the synth dust, not the plasma ion, not the body scan, not the data trail, just a thimble of synth dust from the canyon floor, pulled from the exact geometry of a boot heel that matched, down to the microfracture in its left lateral edge, the boot currently on Elias Thorne's left foot. She let the silence do its slow, holy work. Then she said it the way you say something you have always known and have only been waiting for the right cathedral to say it in. Commissioner, I've heard every story a guilty man can tell. I've watched them ride chrome-spurred into courtrooms, data brands polished, alibis stacked like fusion cells in a generator. But I have never, not once in 20 years on the flats, seen a man outwit the ground he stood on. Because, Commissioner, the dust don't lie. It never has. It never will. It was here before your commission. It will be here long after your verdict. And today, it speaks. Outside the hola windows of New Laredo Station, the Obsidian Flats stretched on, quiet, ancient, patient as a parable, the synth dust settling in its slow, eternal way, recording everything, forgetting nothing, waiting the way truth always waits, not for permission, not for justice, not even for mercy, only for someone willing to finally read it aloud.